Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm 24 from Melbourne, Australia.
I'm David. I'm 28 from Melbourne, Australia.
I have come to the Women's Therapy Centre about my vaginismus in the second week of my treatment, and everything has been going amazingly so far. The women here are just incredible. I've known about my vaginismus since I was 19, but when I was about 12 was when I first realised there was something different about me. I tried to use tampons as when I had my first period, like most young women do, and that was impossible. Hitting the brick wall sensation like most people suffer. And then it wasn't until I was a little bit older and went to have intercourse that I really started to think, okay, there's definitely something wrong with me. And I was about 19 when I went to the doctors, and I was told, you've got vaginismus, and look, it's going to be a long road ahead. So that was interesting. From what I knew, being in Australia, not many places have any sort of treatment program, so that's why we've had to come here. There's mainly therapy options in Australia, but nothing as concentrated of a program as they offer here in the Women's Therapy Centre. So we've come all this way and it's been well worth it. So when I was about 12 years old and trying tampons, I couldn't figure out why something that seemed to be so simple for so many people, I couldn't figure out. Why was there something physically wrong with me? I just couldn't understand. Mum tried to help, use a little bit of Vaseline, just simple things like that. But I found out, and then as I got older, my sister, who's younger than me, she was able to use tampons just fine. So I did start to think that there was something physically wrong with me. But as I got older and then intercourse came up, I realised that it was just a constant brick wall feeling, and I started to Google, why would this be happening to me? Why would I feel this sensation? I don't seem to have anything wrong with me, as the doctor had seen that there's nothing physically wrong with me. I'd spoken to girlfriends about it, but 9 times out of 10 they said, why don't you just get drunk? Just try loosening up, just relax. But nothing would work, no matter what it was. It had to take many different sort of situations for me to realise that there was something wrong. But I was glad to find out that there was an option for me. So when I was about 19 was when I decided I'd had a few sexual partners and intercourse continued to be impossible, that I really realised that something must have been wrong. So we went to the doctor and the lady said to me, you have vaginism. So firstly, she didn't even know how to say it properly. I think that's a huge indicator of how Australian doctors in general really don't know a lot about the condition. So firstly, she couldn't even pronounce it. Secondly, she told me I wondered, how could I have this? My mum doesn't have it, my sister doesn't have it. I was under the illusion that it was hereditary or genetic or something like that. And she said to me, well, you must have been molested. You have been molested, actually, were her words. And I said, no, I can assure you I haven't. And she said, well, you've obviously suppressed the memory. So when you have therapy, that will come out in your therapy. So I walked away feeling like, firstly, this woman doesn't even know how to pronounce the condition. Secondly, she's telling me I've been molested when I haven't been. And thirdly, she didn't even really offer any solutions. She gave me a number of a lady to call at a centre in our city. I called the number and it was an inactive number. That centre had closed many, many years ago. So it just felt like everywhere I looked there was a roadblock, and it just felt like I was never going to be able to solve this problem. So I think for a couple of years I just let it go and I just didn't think about it anymore. And then I went to a new doctor. It was my mum's doctor. And she was lovely, and she had a look and just said, of course, physically there's nothing wrong with you. I do believe you have vaginismus and I'm going to refer you to a gynecologist. So I went to a gynecologist and she confirmed, you definitely have vaginismus and you've got 2 options. You can go home and you can explore yourself and stretch yourself. That's what is required. Or you can be given Valium and off you go, and you can have intercourse with your partner on Valium. And straight away that was something that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be medicated for my first sexual experience. At this time, David and I were together. We were quite close, and obviously I think we'd been together for 2 years around that time. And it was a massive, hurdle in our relationship. It really was. We were sexual in every other way, and, we were so intimate in a lot of ways, and that was the only thing missing. So I had that gynecologist who offered me those two solutions, and again, I did not feel comfortable with that. So I went back to the GP, my doctor, and she said to me, okay, look, I really want you to try therapy. So I went to a sex therapist, and she was lovely. We talked about the pelvic floor muscles. She explained it a lot more in depth for me. She had diagrams. She had a lot of information for me. So that was great, just to learn more about what it means and why this is happening. And then she worked on days that I could no longer go to her. So I then had to find a new sex therapist. So I had to start all over again. And the new sex therapist we both went to together for this appointment, and she was lovely. We just got along like a house on fire. She was so lovely to both of us. She was really interested in getting David involved as well. She thought it was important that we were both going through the therapy together, because it really does impact him just as much as it does me. And it was that first appointment that we thought everything's going swimmingly, and then I think it was the week after that I found out that Dave had been cheating on me. And we had a follow-up appointment, and that was when I informed her, look, I won't be able to come to you for a while. We're sorting out our own issues. And I told her what had been happening, and she just was so judgmental. She said, well, isn't that a deal breaker for you? Are you sure you can trust him? Really ridiculed my decision to stay with him. And again, I know a lot of people will be wondering why, but it's completely, it's completely changed our relationship. And so it felt really uncomfortable to be talking to a woman about my vagina, about my vaginismus, when I felt this judgment. I felt feelings of, why are you still with him? How can you do this? And I also felt she treated you differently, and that was the last thing we needed.
It was a separate. The first session being when we had with her, we're in the same room and all that, and it was very open and talking. And at that time, as we've been mentioned, a week later, it all was revealed that I had been cheating, and there was just a straight separation. And hers was very much like, I can't see you and what you've done, and it was very, like a completely different person. It was something that, as we believe that therapy would be, is kind of like a non-judgmental type aspect, and it was the complete opposite of that. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing. She refused to see David. She said, no, I can't see you anymore. I can only see Brianna, which again was such a far cry from the week before. She was willing to see the both of us and wanted it to be sort of a joint participation. And then, the week after, so again, it just confirms how, how judgmental she really was, and what a big issue she had with it. So after that, again, it was another big letdown, and it just felt like we were never going to get anywhere with this. And I just felt, especially after finding out what had occurred with David, I just felt, how was I going to move on from this? Am I, going to be stuck with vaginismus for the rest of my life? So it was really hard to move on from there, because I thought, look, I've really got to do something about this now. I felt that I'd been too complacent for a long time. I'd been naive, thinking that David could continue without sex, and I could continue without being able to use tampons, without being able to have pap smears. And it wasn't until I realised that I really need to do something about it that I just started researching more on the internet, and I came across the WTC, the Facebook page, A Private Pain. And I think that's when it all started. I started reading a lot of people's testimonials, their success stories. The sheer volume of success stories blew me away in the beginning. I thought, there's no way this can be true. Yeah. How can you be cured in 2 weeks? Yeah. We've tried so many different things, and we've reached roadblock after roadblock. How can this... It's just crazy.
Too good to be true.
We didn't believe it at first, and there was a lot of There was some Australians that I saw had success, and I just reached out to them. That was the first thing I did. I wanted to know, how much it cost, of course, and what was the process involving, what sort of therapy was it, was there an operation involved? I've heard a lot of people having operations along the way, but that was something I never wanted to do, so I was a bit wary of that. And there's just so much information out there if you look for it. There's so many people willing to help. There's so many people who are willing to share what they've been through, and it's just taking the time to go through and contact people, because they're more than willing to help. So especially the women from the WTC were first and foremost opening, with open arms. They were just wonderful. But I found also past patients were really, really helpful and beneficial for us to make that decision. In making the decision, it was actually in a roundabout way.
It was. We were sitting there, and we had just finished watching a video of a couple who had successfully.
We booked Europe first.
We had booked Europe, so we booked a trip for Europe to be here. So we would be in Europe right now at this. And when we had just finished watching a video of a couple who had the success story,
it was Natasha, the Australian young lady who had come here with her husband, and there was a video on the WTC website.
And we finished watching that, and I think we both looked at each other and said, that's it, Monday, we can't go to Europe. We changed our flights and changed everything Monday. I think you had already contacted WTC,
yes.
Found we could get start a treatment program within the period of time that we had leave off. And then it just all kind of snowballed in a good way to get us to where we are now. We were able to cancel everything, and it was just a complete opposite. One was one was a holiday in Europe, and now we're other side of the world in New York. So it was an amazing, but just a whirlwind for a life change.
Yeah, definitely. But we would never ever change it.
Oh.
Europe's not going anywhere, and we can't believe we didn't do this sooner. We can't believe we spent all that time and money on therapists. And yes, that's all a big part of the journey. You definitely have to have therapy if you want to, cure yourself of vaginismus. But the program here at the WTC combines therapy with the physical side of things as well. So, and that's the components that have to go together. But I don't know what else I can say other than it's completely changed our life. Our last day is tomorrow, and we've been able to accomplish everything that I should be able to accomplish. I've had a gynecological exam. I've inserted tampons. We've had intercourse, and all in the 2 weeks. So it's amazing, and we can't thank the women here enough. We just can't. The support. The therapy itself, the program itself is amazing, but the support is something I think you don't expect.
From the first day, I think the moment we walked in here, that very first day was just, life. The fact that we met everyone, and they became the second family within the first appointment. And there weren't even appointments, it felt like you were just coming here for a catch-up, after that. And then from that, it was just a crazy journey and everything.
But every day, even if it's been difficult, even if it's felt like I can't continue, or I feel like, how am I going to get through this? They've been, spurring me on and motivating me and empowering me and making me feel like this is possible. So, if you ever feel, how can I go across the world? If it is that you live across the world, or otherwise, it's something that has changed our lives, and it's something we can never, I don't know how to put into words, we'll never be able to thank them enough. We can't thank them enough, and
for something that
the money, every cent is worth it. It really is. So spending a lot of time on the Facebook page and just researching a lot about vaginismus. The one thing I did come across, along with a lot of supporters, I found a lot of skepticism of especially the WTC, which in the beginning, I must admit, I was a skeptic as well myself. I thought, how could people be cured in such a short amount of time? And I did wonder, how can I tell my doctor about this centre when it doesn't have a specific plan about what they do to you while you're there? And a few people have been talking about how the place is shady, or, that it's secretive, that they don't have a step-by-step guide as to what the plan is for the 2-week program. But all I can say to that is I'm so glad that they didn't, because as we all know, vaginismus comes from anxiety. And I know that if I had known, say on the very first day, what was going to happen, and then from then onwards, I would have been so anxious. I would have been overwhelmed with anticipation. I would have been thinking, oh my goodness, they're going to do this, oh my God, and panicking about, am I capable of that? Not knowing actually helped my progress. And it's sort of an unwritten code within the other patients. We've been here and we've met quite a few people, and you know that your journey is your own. And we've never told anybody else, oh, so on this day, that's when you do this, because we've never wanted to cloud anyone's judgment or thought process or their journey. We just wanted everyone to have their own journey, and you go at different paces, and everyone's journey is very different. I know that another Australian couple who are here at the same time as us, they spent more time with psychotherapy, for example, whereas, I may have needed more physical work. So that's why they can't write step by step exactly what they do. It's impossible. Everybody responds to the treatment very differently. And like I said, everybody's journey is their own. So I understand where the skepticism comes from, because with anxiety comes that fear and that wanting to be in control and wanting to know, what are they doing to me? Am I capable of doing this? But the best thing has been not knowing, because I've gone into it with the trust that these women know what they're doing. They've cured, I think it's nearly 1,200 people. So they know what they're doing, and you've got to come into it with that faith and that trust that you will be in the right hands, and your journey will take as long or as little time as necessary, but you will be cured in the 2 weeks, I can tell you that much. It just depends how much of yourself you put into it as well. Now, so where to from here? Well, one of the biggest things I've taken from this experience is just dealing with my anxiety in general. So anxiety has affected a lot of different parts of my life. I'm 24 and don't drive, so that's something that has always inhibited, my day-to-day life.
Job choices and stuff.
It's changed whether I'm going to move in with David or not, because where he lives there's no public transport. So there's little things like that where I now feel like if I can conquer vaginismus, I can certainly get driving lessons and get my license. So I can definitely apply the skills that I've learned here. And it's just knowing that I had the right attitude to conquer vaginismus with the right support, and I can apply that to my regular everyday life. So I feel more empowered, more confident to attack different areas of my life that anxiety was holding down. So that's really important. And even in our relationship, just in therapy sessions, the best part about these therapy sessions is that they're not structured. We just sit down and we have a chat. And some of the things that we've been able to talk about have been really important in our lives, just financially or emotionally, about just, families or friends, just about lots of different areas. So it's been really important for us. It's been a bonding experience too for 2 weeks.
Very much so. We've
just had that, sharing in this experience. And I think
it's the best way. I think coming across from overseas to here and just being the couple here undergoing the treatment is amazing, because you have each other, and that also strengthens your bond as a relationship in a sense, because you're going through this in the treatment sessions that day, and then you go home, and then you're with each other and you work on it together back at the hotel or back wherever you stay, and it really does strengthen the relationship. And I felt that these 2 weeks have just been the real strongest glue of any part of a relationship. Like, they've really stuck us together permanently, and it's like, it's been amazing to be able and to get involved as well. It's always been kind of with not communication. It's always been Brianna's
My battle.
her battle.
Yeah.
And to be able to battle it together and actually have that kind of relationship together where we could work together to defeat it in a sense, and get rid of it, is just amazing, because you finally have that helplessness that I would feel when Bree would talk about what we can do and what we can, what she's looked at and what she can, and you just wish it's as simple as, some magical fairy dust, sprinkle off and it's all happened. But there's something you wish you could do and there's not. So be able to come here and be able to assist and help. And
that's the thing, is that the WTC, they do include your partner, and you don't need to have a partner. So, that's something that a lot of women think is, I don't have a partner, I can't go. That's not a barrier at all. But if you do have a partner and you're worried that he'll have to sit at the hotel while you're in treatment, or he'll have to, find something to do with his time, the best part about it is they will include your partner when it's necessary. And I think, again, that's what has made our bond even stronger, is that he was able to be a part of it, and it wasn't my battle alone. We were able to go through it together and
to understand it more.
Yeah, and to understand it, definitely. And they were always making sure that Dave was aware of, what I would be going through, but then also seeing how he was coping. So the therapy sessions were for the both of us, and we talked about how we were going through the journey, and it's just made a marvellous difference, because I feel that if Dave wasn't part of it, I would feel like I'm having to relay everything that was happening, and he wouldn't know what I was going through.
There'd be no understanding. There'd be the connection wouldn't be there. It'd just be like, oh, okay, you did that. It's to be able to be there, experience it, and work together through it.
It's been a massive difference.
It certainly has.